of our family, that then they will have to go through the process of trying to, update and change for themselves. When we can really lead by example, entrepreneurs are leaders in their households and their communities. So if they're able to shift their mindset, care for themselves differently, the ripple effect of that is huge, and it will permeate throughout their business. So when they employ people, right, everything gets better when you're healthier. And so for me, being able to be in front of and get exposed to, other Black business owners, and then to get equipped with skills to be able to educate them and to learn from them, it's just transformed my business in where we're focusing and how we've been able to grow.
I love that, because that's an eye opener, because I think people miss the part of health on the journey of entrepreneur or whatever they're doing, because if your health isn't right, you're not going to last long. That's like LeBron. Like, people, you can hate on him all, whatever, but for him to play this sport at a high level for 20 years, his health, he spends $1.5 million on his body every year.
Yep.
That's a different kind of greatness. Welcome to Underdawg Talk. I'm your host, Eric Jones Jr., the underdog with the heroic heart, and I have conversations with successful underdogs. And today, like any other day, I have a successful underdog. Joining me today is Raymond Achille, founder and CEO of Balance Period, a leading health firm with experience as a wellness coach, consultant. Ray is dedicated to bridging the racial health gap. Armed with a degree from IU, over a decade in the field, he's passionate about transforming lives, advocating for health access. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. I appreciate you having me here on the platform.
I appreciate you coming out, because I know you're a busy man. You got stuff going on. I need a fun fact, though.
Fun fact. Okay, fun fact. A few years ago, I was in a hit and run, so someone hit my car, and I took the money that the insurance company gave me. I probably shouldn't say this out loud. I took the money that the insurance company gave me and paid bills instead of getting my car fixed. So I had this door that needed to get changed, but I didn't have any money to do it. So I ended up going to the junkyard, and I taught myself using YouTube videos how to change a fender and a door. So currently my car, if you ever see it, it's all gray, but the door is black and the fender is black. It's because I went to the junkyard and actually took off the old door and put on the new one. So fun fact is I can pretty much learn and do anything as long as I'm shown how to do it. So shout out to YouTube University.
I love that. So my car a few years ago, it got stolen. So I ended up getting them, but it was like a month within me having the car. But luckily I had insurance. So just like you, when I got that insurance money, I was like, man, I could get another car, but these bills, I can catch up and get ahead of them. So I did the same thing. My fun fact is the shirt that I have on is like a yearbook signing. So last year at my school, I went around with a shirt instead of the yearbook and had everybody sign it. So today at my new school that I work at, all the kids like, can I sign it? I'm like, you didn't go to this school. You can't sign it. So like at the end of the school year, I'm going to have another shirt and then y'all can sign it. Like every kid was like, y'all don't even like me. Y'all don't even talk to me. Now you want to sign my shirt. It's hilarious how kids see other kids and then they want to come join the Jones wave. It's funny. So let's get into the conversation. So what inspired your journey as, I'm going to use Underdog, an underdog entrepreneur, and what drove you to start your own venture against the odds?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what started it was, first and foremost, I was working in corporate fitness at the time, and I had a fantastic manager who was really interested in helping his people, develop and grow. And so I was interested in what the next level would look like in the corporate fitness space. And he brought me into the work that he would do because, kind of next step would be me being a manager. And I saw it, and the work was okay. The pay wasn't like that great, and there wasn't really much more mobility upward that I could take. So at that point, I realized, okay, this lifestyle that I want to have, this vision of my future that I have, continuing to do what I'm doing isn't going to get me there. So I started to just get more curious about what an alternative could look like. So that was kind of the foundation that was set. On top of that, I was diagnosed with a pulmonary embolism at the age of 23. So it prompted me to start thinking differently about how I cared for myself, what, honestly, being face to face with my mortality, it was like, I'm not going to be here forever. So I really need to, get serious about what it is I want to do and just start taking action, to do it. So that catalyzed not only my personal health, journey and the investments that I started to make into my self-care, but it also propelled me to say, let me quit this job, this salary job, and start a business without any background in how to be a business owner. So those kind of two moments helped to really set the stage for me to go ahead and take the leap and, embark on an entrepreneurship journey.
So what's your diagnosis? Like, what is that?
Yeah, so a pulmonary embolism is a blood clot in my lung. And the day that I had it, I thought it was back spasms. I had no idea what it was. And after a day of being in excruciating pain, I woke up the next morning and was getting ready to go to the doctor just to get muscle relaxers from what I thought was back spasms. And I coughed up blood. And that's what let me know it was something more serious. And so they ended up running an extensive test. It just runs in my family. It's just heredity. And that's what started the whole, mindset shift in me caring for myself and understanding that by making changes to my approach to self-care, that would have a ripple effect to my kids. And at that time, I'm 23. I don't have any kids, but I was thinking further down the line,
Yeah, definitely. Because that's crazy. Did you know before you found out about it that it was something hereditary?
No, I didn't know until the doctors required me to do a family health history. That's why I'm a big advocate for it now. Like, it's so important for people to go through, I would say start with your parents and your siblings. You can definitely extend it out to your grandparents too, but really have a deep understanding of the conditions, the causes of death for each of those persons if they're unfortunately not here anymore, because something like that could potentially happen to you if you're not conscious and aware of, the risk factors that you may have.
Yeah. So when I was 4, my biological dad passed away of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So me all the way until, because he was like 27. So all the way until like when I started getting older and closer to that age, I was scared because I'm like, I don't want to get, because I don't remember what the cancer was. I just know it was in his leg.
Okay.
Like, man, I don't want to get to this age to get that. And it's crazy because when I turned his age, that's when I had my son. So it was something that I knew, like, cancer ran somewhere in our family, but I didn't know how, what it was. But if I was scared, I was scared to get older and turn that age of what my dad turned, because I'm like, okay, my granddad had it, he passed away. Like, I was real nervous about it. So that is very important to know your health history of your family, because you get to a certain age or you get somewhere and something happens and you like, what is that? And it's like, well, your grandfather had it, your great uncle, and everybody had it, and you didn't know. And if you knew, you could kind of prepare yourself like you're doing, preparing the next generation with changing your health. So how has changing your health, like, what are some of the like little things that you've done to like change your health? Was it more so on the workout side, or was it more so on the eating side?
Yeah, great question. I think I already had a background, right, in kinesiology. That's what I went to school for. I was a personal trainer. The fitness side of things was something that I had already developed habits around. Nutrition, I definitely became more intentional in my mind before all of that happened. When I'm 30, I'll start thinking about it, right? My metabolism's high. I'm good. I'm eating whole pizzas. Still got a 6-pack. I'm okay. But my nutrition shifted a little bit just to be more conscious of what I was eating and the impact that could have on things like, my blood and how, thick or thin it is, just being more intentional there. But what really shifted was when I started to explore mental and emotional health, right? I realized that just physical health and nutrition is great, but that's not all of who I am as a person. And I really didn't have any habits that were directly connected to promoting my mental and emotional health. So I started to do some exploration, ended up coming across mindfulness meditation. And there was some resistance early on. I grew up in the church, and that was something that was looked down upon. It was like, don't do that. Like that's not of God. And so there was some hesitation early on, but I read a whole bunch of articles and various different studies on just the impact. And I gave it a try, and it completely shifted my quality of life. So I would say that was probably one of the smallest things that I did. It was only 10 minutes a day that I committed to, and it completely shifted how I functioned, how I related to myself with other people. Everything changed because I started to just be more conscious and aware of what was happening in my mind and not allowing what was happening in my mind to dictate the actions that I took. So I would say that habit kind of was a snowball effect over time. Now, things like getting quality sleep is really important to me. Napping, just like resting in general, is important to me. So there's a lot of other things that have come from it, but I would say that small habit is what kind of set the stage for everything that I'm doing now.
I love that because I think a lot of people, especially like if you're entrepreneur or you're just got a 9 to 5 and got other stuff, your mind is always racing. So like when we do the 5 minutes in class, that really like is a moment where I'm like,
yes,
actually just sit there. But I don't know, meditation, I've done it before, and I don't know, it doesn't last. But then I listen to it before I go to sleep because I need some type of noise, and I don't want to have TV on. And then a certain person's voice, if I listen to a book, it just throws me off. So I play meditation. So that's kind of where I do it, like have the mindful moments and being quiet and just listening. Or I got the book, I forgot what it is, in class, the practice for reading. So it has affirmation on the front, and then it kind of gives you what to kind of put your mind on. So last night it was like, imagine a space without like any stress. And then I was just thinking, and then I went to sleep. So it was very helpful. So it's definitely a game changer of things people need to add to that. But that's a good thing for like stress and overthinking, because those things affect your health, and we don't realize it, but then you gotta realize it. Are you 30 yet?
Yeah, I turned 30 last year.
Okay.
Yeah, I've just turned 30.
All right, I'm gonna tell you something. When you turn 31 this year,
your
body gonna start hurting.
Okay.
It just, I don't know, like if you didn't prepare, which it sounds like you did, if you didn't prepare in your 20s, your 30s, like your body just be aching. Like you could go out, you know how you go out when you're young and you recover. Nah, recovery different. Ain't you eat a whole pizza, your stomach is sitting you down. Like it's different.
Yes.
Like when I'm closer to 40 than I am to 30. So
okay.
It's like I get in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
So for somebody that doesn't get in the gym, what are some things that they can do to maybe at home, or some things that can work their way into the gym? I don't know why I don't like it. I've never been a workout person. I never. Even all the sports I played, basketball, all that, I never worked out. Like, unless you had to do running and conditioning. But what are some things that somebody like that can do?
Yeah, I think making it as simple as possible, right? I would say first and foremost, and this is something I recommend to anyone, do an audit of your day, right? How are you spending your 24 hours? There may be times in there already that you're moving. And if you just increase the level of intention that you have when you're moving, that can count as a bout of exercise, right? Yes, strength training is important, especially as we age. Building muscle is going to be beneficial and helpful for us so that we age in a healthy way. But to just make sure that you're getting your heart rate at a certain level is going to be beneficial also just for your heart health in general. So, take into account what you're currently doing, add some intention to it, right? Park farther away, when you're going places, get some extra steps in, but do something that you enjoy, right? For a lot of us, we might enjoy sports. So just incorporate time to play those sports on a regular basis. That's a form of exercise, right? That's a form of movement. If you're like, hey, I'm not a sports person, there can be things that you do at home that you can utilize as workouts too. I know for me, a lot of times during the pandemic, I would just go on YouTube and look up like 10-minute workout or 15-minute stretch routines, something that is requiring you to move your body, right? You just have to do something. You got to move. Our bodies were designed to move. And the more we do that, the healthier we are. So I would say keep it simple. Identify ways that you're already moving and just add some intention to it and increase the intensity if you can. And then, do something that you enjoy and just make that a part of your routine. Something, is walking too, right? Just going for a walk can be so beneficial, especially if you're currently sedentary. Taking a 15, 20-minute walk every day could do, wonders for how you feel and how you function.
I think walking is what keeps me active because I work in a school, so I'm one person. I can't stay seated down. I don't think that's the word, but I know what I mean.
We got you.
I just can't So I'm always on the move and walking. Even like if I'm at home talking on the phone, I'm walking around. I don't know how to sit down. I can even be watching TV and standing up. So I think that's been like my exercise. I guess I gotta add some muscle because I lift weights, but I don't lift too much. I do some push-ups here and there because I got the push-up things, but I don't know. I just never really. But I guess the walking has helped me because I've been a walker.
Yes,
I've been a walker, and like if I was to go do workouts with my legs, I could lift a lot with my legs because I walk a lot. So that makes sense. So let's get back to a little bit of business. What mindset shifts or strategies have you seen help underdog entrepreneurs transition from side hustles to full-time business?
yeah. And I'll speak to the one that I've noticed works well for me is teachability, and it's the product of your willingness to learn and your willingness to accept change. It's something that I realized. It was probably around 2020. It's when I first learned the concept, but I realized at every point of my life there was always something that I didn't know, right? And I realized that there's always going to be something that I don't know, right? In every stage. So it's up to me to be teachable, to be willing to learn, and then to be willing to incorporate what I learned into my routine so that I can see different results and get different outcomes. And so teachability for sure, right? Putting myself in a position to learn, to glean information from people that I see doing the things that I want to accomplish, getting coaching, right? Having people that are better at me at certain skills within business and learning from them, and then being open to taking risks and taking action, right? So that I can execute at integrating those things into my, my workflow. That I would say is probably the single-handed, biggest mindset shift that I've made that has produced the greatest results.
I like what you said. You said you learned it, but then you put it into your routine. And I think that applies in all kinds of things, being a coach in sports. Like if you learn something from your coach or you learn something that you watch, you got to put it into your routine. You can't just go and be like, oh, I learned this new move. And then you ain't tried it all week, and then you go into the game and try a turnover or a crazy shot. Or so that makes sense of in business. Like you said, get a coach, get somebody that is a little further than you, and then add that stuff that they're adding to their routine, to your routine, because you can always modify it to your liking, but it'll change and show different things. Because I remember, like, when I first got a coach, and just the little stuff that I was doing, I was noticing, like, oh, this is really working, like, this is really helpful. And then you can notice when you don't have the coaching or you don't have that person, and you just running around doing everything, and it's like, yeah, that's why you're not where you want to be, because you're running around doing everything. I think routine is it's one of the most important things in business and in life, that you got to have that routine. Last night I wrote out, like, okay, on these days I got this, so I have extra time here. So these are the things that I need to implement in this extra time so I can get it done. Because I don't think it's always about work. A lot of listening to you is studying, is researching and knowing what's going on in your field and knowing what you need to do. Because like you said, you don't know what you don't know.
Yep.
And if you don't know, guess what? You got to go research. You got to figure it out. There's always this thing you said earlier, YouTube University.
Yes.
If you ain't got the money to pay for stuff, you can go on YouTube and click on the right video to help you add to your routine. So I love that, because that's very important. I don't think people really understand routine, or the routine that you have is a failing routine.
Yeah, and I would say it's also identifying, is this routine serving a useful purpose? At one point in your life, it might have been just fine, and it might have been in alignment with who you were at the time, what you wanted to accomplish. But that has to shift when you elevate, right? And when there's different goals that you have, things are going to have to change. You won't get the outcomes that you want if you're doing the same things in a different space. So it's definitely just important to leverage self-awareness there, to know, the values that you have, the things that you want to accomplish, and make sure that you're aligning, your mindset and your habits with those things.
Yep, that's so true. That's so true. It's just like in school. You're in 4th grade, okay, that's cool. You get to 5th grade, it's a little different. You got to switch up some stuff. Or when you go from elementary school to middle school, you go from having really one main class to having 7. If you don't adjust something, you ain't gonna make it.
Yep.
So that's just as simple as that. Just changing up, because it could be where you just a regular worker and you become a manager now. Now you got more responsibility, so you got to change some things up. You might not be able to watch all your shows. You got to binge watch on a Sunday night or something like that, or watching sports. I know for me, I don't watch sports as much. Like I always been that dude that's watching sports, but it's like, what am I watching it for? They winning, but I'm not winning.
I feel you on that.
You know, I do watch it more so now as a basketball coach and studying, but I don't, some of the stuff that I used to do, I don't do as much because it didn't get me nowhere, and I'm trying to go somewhere. So you got to change up the little things that you do. 20-minute talks, you talk to somebody. Or the 30-minute, an hour talk, you gossiping with your girlfriend, or you call your homie and y'all ain't talking about nothing. Change those little things up and add reading or watching a video and watch how things change. Like, I'm saying that just for me, just little 20-minute here, 30 minutes here. Now I read for 20 minutes and that's helpful, even though I'm not big on reading. So just those little things. So how does your organization empower the underdog entrepreneurial community, and what actionable insights can entrepreneurs gain overcoming obstacles and growing their ventures?
Yeah, what I contribute is mindfulness. Mindful moments, to be exact. You alluded to it earlier, but these moments of time where you're pausing, you're taking a deep breath, you're reconnecting to the here and now, you're centering yourself, grounding yourself, and it creates the space for you to be more intentional about how you're going to now respond to what you experience after that point. That in and of itself is transformational for how you feel, how you function. There's so much uncertainty and so much stress that comes along with being an entrepreneur, especially an entrepreneur of color, that, being able to regulate what's happening in your mind, to be able to calm yourself down physiologically so that you can be more intentional like that. And that is just, it's huge. And so for me, I realized the value that it added to my life. And that's why it's something that I'm always an advocate for. And anytime I'm in a space that allows me to facilitate a moment like that, I'm going to do it, right? Because that's just how important it is and how transformational it could be. So that's what I contribute as it relates to actionable like tips. What I would say is set reminders on your phone, right? These aren't loud reminders that go off. These are just gentle. They just vibrate. You can do this on Android or iPhone. And when they go off, just pause and take a deep breath, right? Recognize where you currently are in space and time, right? Bring your attention to the contact your body's making to the surface beneath you, right? Notice the movements you feel as you breathe, and then take a moment to focus on what you're grateful for, right? And gratitude is so powerful. It can shift, how you feel in any moment. It can shift your performance after that moment. So that's what I would say, in order to take action based on what I just said. Carve out small chunks of time in your day to just pause and breathe, and see what changes happen for you.
Yeah, I love that. And that's so true, because those mindful moments in class are very important, because it's kind of the beginning of the week. Got a lot going on, and it's sometimes the first time I actually sat there and paused and was like, oh, okay, I've had a good week, or oh, this has happened, or it's more so, I think, the thinking of what I'm grateful for at the moment. And it's because I think gratitude isn't big, but it's big. The people that are successful in life take gratitude to what it's supposed to be. You got to be grateful for all things that happen, even the losses, the wins, and just taking that moment to think about, I'm grateful for something small that just happened or whatever, is very powerful. But I'm going to do that. Put I know little times where I'm in my office or where I can take a moment and be like, let me breathe, because those are important, to just stop and think about where you're at that moment. Because sometimes you think so far in the future, you forget you winning in the moment. You like, okay, well, what I'm going to do tomorrow, win today. Just win where you at right there. And I think that's very helpful, because I can't think, it's in Matthew, the scripture, don't think about tomorrow, focus on the day, because tomorrow's got its own problems. You just focus on what you're on right now. It'll help you, because you'll be like, okay, I accomplished something today. I did that earlier. Okay, I'm not going to worry about tomorrow. I know those bills coming up. what can I do today to set myself up for tomorrow, and rather than just going on and thinking about that. So that's very important. That's important to the community, especially the Black community, because like you said, with church and meditation and different things of, oh, well, that's not how you supposed to, well, what you've been doing ain't working, so let me try something different. And if God says it's wrong, he'll tell me that it's wrong. So that's very important. I love that answer. What advice, encouragement would you offer to fellow underdog entrepreneurs that are facing challenges on their path to success?
Yeah, this is something that I say at the end of every podcast episode that I get to host. It's something that it's a reminder for me, but it's also a word of encouragement for everyone else. It's to remember that you don't have to be perfect to make progress. So be patient with yourself and be kind to yourself as you travel along your journey of building your business, right? Creating generational wellness. That's generally what I say at the end of my show, but it's whatever journey you're on, right? Be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, give yourself grace, and know that everything isn't going to happen the way that you plan it. There's going to be failure, and in those moments of failure, there's opportunities to learn and grow, but embrace that, right? And remember that you don't have to be perfect to make progress.
I love that because I think, especially when you're starting and you see other people on social media, you're like, oh, I got to do this and I got to do that. And it's like, you got to bump your head. You got to remember they bumped their head before they got to where they're at. And I always like to go back to people's beginning videos and how it looked. Because if you look at where they're at now, it's like, okay, yeah, they're doing good, but they didn't start there. And you're not going to start where you're going to wake up and be a millionaire and have all this and all that. So just do what you can where you're at and keep going. Like you said, nobody perfect. You're not going to have a perfect business. You could be up here one year, the next year you don't make nothing. So don't think about trying to be perfect, or don't compare yourself to everybody else, because that's where I think a lot of people fail, at the opposite of what you're saying. Like when you understand, I got to go brick by brick, it'll help your journey. But if you think you're going, okay, I'm going to put this brick and then I'm going to leap over here to this one, it's not going to work. You just got to go brick by brick and remember everybody else went through something.
Yeah. And that's also where gratitude comes in, right? Like gratitude makes what you have enough. And there's always something to be grateful for. So regardless of where you are on your journey, if you're tuning back into that, you remember, that you're good and that you're whole where you are, that you're enough where you are, and that, as long as you have breath in your lungs, tomorrow you can continue to make progress. So that's why I love gratitude so much, because it really helps ground me regardless of where I am on my journey, and helps me remember, the work that has been done to get me here, and it keeps me motivated to keep doing more work so I can keep going, to higher levels.
Yep. I tell kids that all the time in the morning. You woke up this morning. Somebody didn't wake up, because kids, they got to add it. What you mad at bacon? You mad at breakfast? What's going on? I'm like, be grateful that you woke up. Somebody didn't wake up, and then they'll have a little smile, or they'll be like, you right, and that helps them out. So yeah, if you woke up that morning, you should just be grateful that you woke up, because somebody didn't wake up, or somebody's family member didn't wake up.
It's true.
From your experience with your business and just the field you're in, what exposure, education, equipment has the greatest impact on the journey that you've been on?
Yeah, I'd say getting an opportunity to be exposed to other Black business owners and to be able to get in front of them, to build relationships with them, to provide some of the value that I've gotten to experience with them has been huge. By doing so, it not only allowed me to hone my abilities and my skills to facilitate, but it also continued to just validate the importance of seeking to create generational wellness. Because building the business is fantastic. And yes, building wealth will help close the racial wealth gap. But if we aren't at the same time seeking to get healthier and optimize our health, the racial health gap will still be just as wide. So we'll end up spending the wealth that we accumulate on trying to keep ourselves healthy, and we'll continue to pass down unhealthy habits to the next generation of our family that then they will have to go through the process of trying to, update and change for themselves. When we can really lead by example, entrepreneurs are leaders in their households and their communities. So if they're able to shift their mindset, care for themselves differently, the ripple effect of that is huge, and it will permeate throughout their business. So when they employ people, right, everything gets better when you're healthier. And so for me, being able to be in front of and get exposed to other Black business owners, and then to get equipped with skills to be able to educate them and to learn from them, it's just transformed my business in where we're focusing and how we've been able to grow.
I love that, because that's an eye opener, because I think people miss the part of health on the journey of entrepreneur or whatever they're doing, because if your health isn't right, you're not going to last long. That's like LeBron. Like, people, you can hate on him all, whatever, but for him to play this sport at a high level for 20 years, his health, he spends $1.5 million on his body every year.
Yep.
That's a different kind of greatness, or that's a different kind of legacy, because he wants to be able to play with his kids, which is he would be the GOAT. He'd be the, I don't know, Iverson's still my GOAT, but LeBron would be up there as the GOAT when that happens. Mm-hmm. For him to be able to do that and play at a high level like that shows. Or even Steph, because he started off, every time he walked, his ankle was twisted.
That's true.
He did something different, and you got to take that into consideration, especially in the Black community. As Black males, we don't last long. So if we understand we don't last long, and just like the technology we have for businesses, we need to use the technology for our health so that we can last long, so we can see our kids, or so they don't miss out. So that's very important, because health is important. We don't take it important. I remember when I was in my 20s, my cousin was like, man, take that health serious. Go to the doctor, get checked up. He told me this, and when he was in his 30s, and he was telling me at my 20s, I didn't really pay attention, but I promise, as soon as I turned 31, stuff started happening. Yeah. And I'm like, soon I got insurance, I can go, but it's like, I probably wouldn't have went through some of this stuff if I took care of my body. So that's very important.
Definitely.
Very important.
Yeah.
I got to work on the eating part. I'm still fat. I'm skinny, like you said. Like, I could eat whole pizzas, ribs, all that. I ain't got a six-pack, but I ain't got no keg either. So it's like kind of hard when you like food, but everything that you eating ain't really good for you.
Yeah, and I think getting more insights into how your current eating patterns are having an impact on, let's say, your biological age. So for those of you that don't know, we have a chronological age, which is how old we are based on how long we've been here. We also have a biological age, which is essentially how far aged we are based on, things like your, sugar levels, your liver levels, right? These biomarkers that are measured from your blood, that also produces, how old you are internally. And just understanding what that is can help, and say, maybe I need to adjust my diet based on this information so that I can create the conditions to be healthy from the inside out, right? And that's something that I do. I'm a huge advocate for it, getting in-depth blood work done on a consistent basis to be able to have those insights, and for me to make adjustments to, what food I'm eating, what supplements I'm taking, so that I can lower my inner age. Because you can lower it, right? Like, when I first got it measured, I was older than what I was. I just got it remeasured, and I came in at 23. So I'm 30 years old, but my biological age says I'm 23. Like, you're able to make shifts to it, but you got to be aware of it in the first place. So.
Yeah. So, wonder how old, because I be having aches and pains. I might be in my 50s. I don't know. But does that play a role on how people look?
I would say probably less about how you look. Mm-hmm. It's more how your bodily processes are operating. It plays more of a role there. In some cases, you might see that, if you're holding excess weight, yes, some of those biomarkers will show that, the certain organs aren't functioning the way they should because of, the excess weight there based on the blood work that you get. So some cases, yes, but you could be healthy, right, or appear to be healthy. You can have a six-pack, all these things, and still not be in alignment, right, as it relates to your biological age. So,
Cause I tell people I'm one of the laziest skinny people. They think because you skinny, you supposed to. No, I don't do all that. I'm not running. I'm not doing all that. But so I don't know why that made me think of the 600 pounds people. So are they just that's just worse, right? Because they're putting in their body, and that's how like over time, like is that how like over time, like how does somebody? I don't know if you know the answer. I don't know why I thought of this, but how does somebody go from maybe a little bigger than us to wawoof? And they don't really, and like it's almost in a short period of time it seems like. But how do they go from that and not be able to like stop it, and then have to go from completely stop what they were doing, or they're gonna die and change everything?
Yeah, I don't know the exact answer. There's probably some science behind it, but it will probably have to do with psychology, right? Their mindset, the environment that they're in, examples that they had before. Some of that stuff is so deeply rooted, right? To where it is probably some sort of addiction that they have with food, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's producing negative results and negative impacts on their health, and so being able to get them the help that they need to shift that mindset, to change their environment, to change what they're consuming, can then kind of shift the tides in a healthier direction for them. So odds are, like I said, someone could probably look that up to kind of see what the science says about it, but odds are it's some sort of, psychological thing in place that is prompting them to behave in the way that they're behaving, in addition to some of the other things, around them and some of the examples that they've seen.
That makes sense. Yeah, it probably could be something like, because a lot of stuff we get from generations before us, and we don't really realize until we do research and stuff of that sort. So that can make sense. So, how do storytelling, value provision, critical thinking shape your organization to support those that you serve?
Yeah, storytelling plays a huge role in that. I think as it relates to like critical thinking, there's a framework that we developed for creating generational wellness. The first step of that framework is expanding your awareness, right? Doing things like getting diagnostic testing, understanding your family health history, right? Checking in on your sleep quality, different things like that. That's really where the critical thinking lies, right? Because now you're saying, okay, this is where I currently am. This is not where I want to be, and this isn't in alignment with who I want to be. Now let me think critically about adjustments that I can make, right? So I would say that's really what it falls in line with. The second step is modeling. So now integrating these healthier behaviors into your lifestyle so that you're able to experience different outcomes, right? And the storytelling aspect of it falls in the third step, which is sharing your story and saying, hey, this is what I did. This is where I started. This is the mindset shift that I had. These are the behaviors that I integrated. And now this is where I am. And hey, you can do something like that too. So being open to sharing your story about the transformation that you experience as it relates to your health and well-being is critical to passing down a legacy of health and well-being to not only people in your family, but also other people in your community. So I would say, it's really ingrained into the work that we do and the impact that we're able to have, because we explicitly say, hey, tell your story. It could be on a podcast, it could be writing it down, but you need to make sure that you are documenting it and then sharing it with the people that it's most relevant to, which is generally your family and the other people that are proximal to you.
I love that. The critical thinking part. That could be for anything. Like critically thinking where you're at, where you want to go, making those adjustments, then implementing them, and then being able to show that journey. That's for anybody that really want to be on social media. That's the key right there. Think about where you at, where you want to go, and then make the adjustments and document it and tell your story. And I love that, because I think everybody has a story. So don't think that your story isn't going to hit like everybody else. Mm-hmm. Your story is going to touch somebody else because somebody's went through that. Like, that's why I have different people on the podcast, because somebody's story matches what somebody's going through right now. And they're like, oh, okay, they going through that? I can get through it. Or just me telling my story, I didn't really realize how impactful it was until like I went out and started speaking. And people will come up and was like, that's the inspiration. I'm like, oh, okay, I just thought this was a normal life. I was making it through. And you don't realize how important your story is. So share your story, because it's important. It can save somebody's life, because somebody watching you Oh, it's crazy. You might not see it in the views or whatever. People come up to me all the time. Oh, you doing a good job. Hey, I ain't seen you like nothing. I ain't seen you share nothing. Oh, but you watching. So somebody watching you and your story is going to help that person. So don't be scared. Just tell your story. Don't be upset or scared to show how ugly it is, because everybody had an ugly story. Everybody started somewhere. So just get that out. And I think it'll help you by sharing your story, because you won't be so ashamed of whatever you're going through, because sometimes people are ashamed of their story.
For sure.
And, yeah. So I've been trying to work back on You Won't Believe This, but I had an episode Tuesday and I used my You Won't Believe This, but it's like crazy stuff that I see.
Okay.
Like, I see some crazy stuff. I'll just repeat what I said on even though the episode's out. So me and my kids, it's my son's birthday. It was Monday. We go to Sandbox VR. We're leaving, and so it's like we're walking and we got to turn to get to the car, and all I hear is ah. We're like, what the heck? Some lady got bit by a goose.
What?
Yes, like broad day, middle, like. I don't know how it was proud of them, and they're like, let's take a picture. They like lifting up her skirt to see where she got bit to take a picture and stuff. And like that type of stuff randomly happens to me. I see the most randomest stuff, and I don't know why. Like, I remember sitting on my balcony with my best friend at the time, her mom. We was sitting on the balcony just enjoying the weather, I think. Or we could have been barbecuing or something. We sitting on the balcony. We literally saw a squirrel and a cat having a fight. No lie.
Come on.
I believe. I'm trying to think. I think the squirrel won, because the cat was like, it was just like, I thought I was tripping. I was like, do you see this? And that's the type of stuff that I see. And I don't know. I just try to put it on the podcast because I had a radio show and I've done it ever since. Mm-hmm. So I try to keep up with it. I be trying to write them down because I'll forget. But that's just the crazy. I like to add that.
Yeah, that's pretty random.
Any random stuff that didn't happen this week?
I don't think so. And if it did, I was just not paying attention enough to be able to remember it. Mm-hmm. I feel like at this time of my life, I've been like collecting health equity facts. So like I've been finding out about different ways that, you know, our system has kind of stacked the odds against, you know, people of color as it relates to, you know, our health and well-being and our mindsets around it and things like that. That's why we like distrust the healthcare system. So I could spit off one of those, but nothing too crazy.
I just thought about
Okay.
So I coach 3rd and 4th grade boys. You think, you know, elementary school. So we had a game last week, and I see like some, you know, they getting into it. I see 2 players. One of them mine. So I'm like, hey, I'll run on the court, but I don't go all the way because I'm like, okay, they cool. But the boy on the other team's like, and it's the ref standing there and the guy coming up. I put 2 and 2 together. It was his dad. They don't grab him. He swing on my player. Hit him in his shoulder or neck or something. My player sits there, pow, dots him in the eye, you know, basically sits him down. He goes to the sideline. But this happened in a 3rd grade game.
Goodness.
That's not something that's supposed to happen in elementary, because somebody was supposed to stop it. The ref was supposed to get in the middle. I'm not going to go grab somebody else's player because my player was just standing there chilling. And you get swung on, you know what your mama said. Somebody hit you, you better knock them out.
Yeah, I mean, and you can't just swing on someone and not protect yourself afterwards.
Either.
Okay, well.
It was like, the ref was like, y'all want to cancel the game? I'm like, we was winning, so I'm like, hey, it's whatever. If y'all want to keep playing, that's cool. And we kept playing because it was more about the other kids and people getting their rep, but it's the type of crazy stuff that in certain leagues you in, and it's a little ghetto.
Happens, man. Happens. And people get passionate about basketball. You get passionate, you know?
Me, I know.
Yes.
I've had to work on my passion of basketball, because when I first started coaching, I got a technical, my first game in like serious league.
What'd you do? Oh, you threw the hat.
I was mad. Like, I always tell my players, don't argue with the refs. I got your back. And it's the craziest thing. I have seen refs cheat kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's like, you're not calling no calls. And that's at the time I'm loud, I'm just walking, I'm crazy. But now I can sit on the bench and be cool because I understand, like, sometimes when you're that way, your players will be that way and that affect them. So, yeah. So before I get to my last question, what does a day in the life of Raymond look like?
Yeah, I generally wake up sometime between 7 and 7:30. Yeah, you know, I don't have, I'm grateful. I'm at a place in my career where I plan my day based on when I want to get things started, and I get to wake up a little bit later. I do tend to go to bed a little bit later, between like 11:30. So I try to give myself 8 hours, most times 7.5 to 8 hours that I'm in bed to give myself. I'm telling you, sleep is serious for me. So that's how I start my day. And most times, the first thing that I do, I check in with my Whoop, which is the wearable device I have. Tells me about what my sleep looked like. I log my behaviors from the day before to keep track of that. And then I normally open the Bible app and I go through the verse of the day. I designed it's a chat inside of ChatGPT to help like dissect the verse, so I kind of get a little bit deeper insight into what the context behind the verse was. And then after that, I generally start the day. So I started personal training again here recently. So some mornings I'll go train. If not, I will take my dog for a walk to start the day, and I come back and then start my work day. Depending on the day, I might have meetings right when I get started. If not, I take that time to just go through what I have for the day. I'm doing the planning if I need to. Most times I try to do that the night before. But then I just go through the day. If I need to travel somewhere, I like to add in some sort of education. So I'll listen to like a podcast, or I'll listen to an audiobook to kind of help me in those moments of transition, just so that I'm always learning something. And then I don't necessarily have a cutoff time for everything, but it's probably between 5 and 6. I tend to take my dog, my fiance and I, a lot of nights take our dog for a walk to kind of end the workday. I normally log back in just before bed to check any emails, and then like make a list of things I may need to do for the next day. We like to watch various different TV shows. So we're watching Survivor right now. We'll have an episode to watch this evening when I get home. But we just spend some time together in the evening. She normally goes to bed a little bit earlier than me. Some nights we'll do like a meditation practice together before bed, and then I close things down, take my dog out one more time to use the bathroom before bed, put him in, and then I put my sleep mask on, put my earplugs in, and I go to sleep. So that's a typical day. Varies depending upon meetings and things, but it's pretty consistent aside from that.
I see there's a lot of routine, there's a lot of consistency, and there's knowing what your day looks like. I think sometimes entrepreneurs or beginning entrepreneurs, we don't know what our day looks like. And so we're just doing a whole bunch of stuff and being busy instead of being productive. Because when you know what your day looks like, you can be productive, or okay, I got this open window, I can get something done if I didn't get it done the day before. So I love that. I never got into Survivor. I never really because it's been on.
This is the 46th season this season, I think. So it's been around for a minute, and I don't know if they only do one. They might do 2 a year, so it may be like 20 some years that it's been around, and they just do like a couple rounds. Yeah,
it's got to be at least because I remember when it first came out. My show is BMF, and I like Abbott and Chicago PD.
I like Abbott too. Yeah.
Wednesday is kind of my TV watching day. I watch Abbott's funny if you're.
It's hilarious.
And then Chicago Fire, I got into that, and then Chicago PD, and then after that I'm asleep. But you said you get 7.5 to 8. I wish I knew what that looked like. Like even on the weekends when I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna put an alarm on. I'm not gonna have my phone where I can hear it. I'm gonna toss it over there. I still wake up at no later than 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
I could go to bed at 2, 3. I still get up. Like my body gets up. So I haven't had I've had some great sleep, but not consistent great sleep. Mm-hmm. And I think it's not having those mindful moments of shutting my brain down, because it's like I be sitting there watching TV, right, and they be like, "Oh, I'm sleepy." I be dozing off. As soon as I lay in the bed, mine just. I'm like, "What in the world? I just was asleep. I just was basically sleeping in the chair. Should I go back to the chair and go to sleep?" And that's one thing I got to work on is shutting down my brain at the end of the night, because I have like a 10, 11 like bedtime, but I get up at 5:30, and that's not, I don't have my morning routine looks pretty on paper, but it don't get done because at 5:30, and if you don't get 4 or 5 hours of sleep, it don't really work. So one of my goals, like for the year, is to get more sleep. I don't know how melatonin ain't worked, no sleeping pills, like I don't know what to help.
Yeah, there's definitely, options out there for you to help you start to get, better quality sleep. There's a podcast that I'd recommend you check out. It's the Huberman Lab podcast. He's actually doing a series right now with Matt Walker, who wrote the book Why We Sleep. And they're literally breaking down sleep from its fundamental level. They're going really, really deep. They've done this already in one episode, but they're breaking this into like 6. And so it's something that I go back to and listen to. But there's a lot of strategies from, creating the proper sleep environment for yourself, having some sort of wind down routine to where you're able to release what's happening in your mind. So when you're in bed, your mind's not racing. There's a lot of different things that you can play around with and can try to start to, help you get some different results with sleep. So I'm also here. Let me know. We can definitely have more conversations about it too, because it's something that I'm passionate about, because I'm aware of the value that getting good sleep has on us.
And cheesing about your sleep, and I'm sitting there like, and I'm tired right now, but I know as soon as I go home, well, I can kind of shut off today because their episode won't be, I don't have to go and edit it right away, so I can go home, eat, probably watch a little Law and Order.
There you go.
I got that from my granny. Yeah, Law and Order is like the show that I always
they've been on forever too.
Yeah,
that show been here for a while.
Because they got a new regular Law and Order. None of the same. The only one that's the same is SVU. Olivia and Ice-T been on there forever. Like, forever. That's
real longevity right there, for sure.
It really is. And she really hasn't done a lot of nothing else.
Yeah, I don't think so. No.
Yeah, now, what's a Stabler? He has. But that's consistent. That's one team. That's LeBron. That's Steph. Yeah. Okay. Before I ask this last question, you watch sports, basketball?
Yeah, I do.
Who you got in the playoffs?
Honestly, I feel like it's up in the air, man. I really do. I really feel like it's up in the air. I haven't seen a team that's like, okay, they got it. It's like everyone has been playing decently well, and
the Celtics, man. The Celtics is above everybody.
They always are until the finals.
And I think it was the age, not having the experience. Now if they stay healthy, I don't really see nobody beating them. But the thing is, they got to stick to their game. Their game is going to the hole, and when they get to jacking up them threes and not making them, that's when they lose. But I'm a Celtics fan. I'm riding with the Celtics.
Okay.
I believe we can win it this year. If healthy, nobody gets hurt, we can win it. Out the West, I think Denver is going to beat everybody again.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Because they have the formula. They've been in they were the team that made it to second round, and now I don't see nobody beating them. I am a little scared that we play the Miami Heat first round. Well, no,
I don't know if I think Jimmy might be out.
No. They got to beat the Bulls first. So if the Bulls beat the Heat, then we good. But
I think they play They play again.
Yeah. So
okay.
The Heat lost to the Sixers, so they played the Bulls because the Bulls beat the Hawks.
Okay.
So whoever wins that plays the Celtics.
I see.
I don't like the Heat. As a Celtics fan, it's always, if you're a fan of a team, it's always that one team. No matter who's on their roster, they just know how to beat you, and that's the team. So hopefully the Pacers can win. I think they can beat the Bucks in the first round because Giannis is out.
Oh, is he like out? Because it will. Oh, well, yeah.
I don't know when he's gonna return out.
Well, then, yeah. If that's the case, then we'll see if they can pull one out. If that wasn't the case, they wouldn't have done it.
I don't know. The Pacers, they've been
Yeah, we'll see.
Right.
I'm really just hoping to see some really good games. Yeah,
I
for
am
sure.
Too. I am too.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go to one of the Pacer and Buck games.
That'd be
I've
nice.
only been to a Celtic and Pacer game, playoff game. I want to go see what the environment, because they're pretty good this year. They almost won the what's that?
In-season tournament. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What barriers do you aim to break, and what communities are you focused on uplifting with your organization's effort? I kind of know the community, but what barrier? Well, you kind of answered it, but just go into depth. The last question.
Yeah, I would say there's a barrier around like mental health, and there's also just a barrier around like health in general and having conversations about it in Black communities. And so for me, I think that's the one that we're looking to break the stigma behind it, and then the resources to be able to then effectively care for yourself after getting exposed to some stories and to some other people that are open to sharing. That's definitely what I want Balance Period to do. And ultimately what that will result in is closing the racial health gap. That's what we're here to do. So that's the barrier. The barrier currently is stigma. There's also a large inequity factor that's at play too, right? From having access to care, the social determinants of health that are essentially putting people in environments to where they're not able to really optimize their health. And so there's some like political things that need to change systematically in order for us to create healthier spaces for ourselves internally and externally. But for the work that we're doing is going to be primarily destigmatizing health. And then I see opportunities as we grow to invest in labs that are performing research around health and wellness topics for Black folks. That's also something, as I mentioned, inequities, we don't really see ourselves a lot in the data that comes out, right? And so being able to really have some quality research around some of our unique experiences that we can utilize as resources to help us decision make around how we care for ourselves, I think is important. So as we grow, I definitely want to be able to invest in that portion of the process too.
I love that answer. And I can tell just by the way you answer, you do a lot of research. You make sure you know what needs to be known and how to get it done. And I think that's one area for me on certain topics or certain things I need to research more, because that's very important, because you don't want to just be talking out your ass when you're talking to people, and you want to be able, especially like in our community, somebody might, let's fact check him and see if he really know, and you know what you're talking about. So that's very important to know what you're talking about when it's something that's uncomfortable for people, because you're right, health is uncomfortable for us because we love eating fatty foods. I know I've seen on Facebook somebody's like, has anybody made Kool-Aid? And I was like, why would you drink that? Like, we thought that was cool. That was just because that was something affordable. You could use the water in the faucet, get you some sugar, and you got the Kool-Aid. But that is diabetes. Like, that is horrible. I haven't had. If I go over somebody's house and all they got is Kool-Aid, I'm leaving.
Yeah, at one point in time, that was like how we would refuel. We would play outside all day and come inside and drink Kool-Aid. And it's okay. It's sugar. We're gonna burn it off anyway. But it's definitely shouldn't. I would say, and I don't like to should anyone, but it shouldn't be a staple drink in a household. I wouldn't think. No, it's not great. Yeah, it's not great.
But yeah, growing up, what was your favorite flavor of Kool-Aid?
Probably blue raspberry lemonade, kind of like the light blue. That always hit different. When we had that in the fridge, it was like, oh, this is a good time out for sure, because it's gonna be delicious.
I'm always a red person, but pink lemonade hit different for me.
Okay.
But it depends on how you make it. You gotta have the right person make it, because everybody can't make Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Man, I haven't had it since college, so it's been a while.
I don't even know. Okay, how old am I? How old am I? Am I 30? Oh, I'll be 30. Okay. Oh, it's been about 15.
Wow.
And at least 15, 20 that I didn't have Kool-Aid. And I'm telling you, if I see something at somebody else, I'm leaving. Like that's all you got to drink. You ain't got no water. I'd rather just take some water.
Right.
But I don't want to keep going on it. But I just think about when I was younger, nobody had water. Nobody was drinking water. I know I'm a little older than you, but my grandparents, they had pop.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have water. It wasn't going in and get you a water bottle. It was going in and get you some pop, get you some Kool-Aid. How did we survive off that? Like, and now you got to drink X amount of water. You got to put fruits and vegetables in the water to make it. And none of that happened back then. But we still made it. I don't get it.
And we are resilient beings.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were younger. Our metabolism was higher. We were very active. I would say probably more active in some ways than our current generation of children, just from the fact that we didn't have technology the way that they did. So we had nothing to do but go outside and play. So I would say it wasn't ideal, but I think we were able to process it decently well just from the level of activity that we had back then.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. Like, how? We was going in and getting Pepsis and going out and playing till the street lights came on. Like, that's crazy. But yeah. So, 3 tips for underdog entrepreneurs of how to 3 things they can do for their mental health, because I think that'll trickle down to their actual health. They start fixing their mental health.
Yeah, breathe is the first thing, right? Prioritizing time to breathe, developing a mindfulness practice, I would highly recommend. So that's 1. 2, journaling, and I would kind of say in tandem, right? Journaling and or therapy. Before I decided to invest in therapy, journaling was my space to let out what was in my mind. And it really helped relieve some of the tension and stress that I was experiencing internally. And then therapy is just a valuable resource, similar to having a coach, right? It's like having a safe space to be able to express yourself emotionally, to learn more about yourself and to learn healthy coping strategies to manage and to, you know, regulate your emotions is very important, not only as a business owner, but just as, you know, a healthy human being. So that is what I would say, kind of journaling and therapy for 2. And then 3, sleep. Get better sleep. Sleep is when our minds and bodies were designed to heal and recover. So a lot of the work that we do to learn new things, when we sleep, we process that information. We turn it into like memory when we sleep. It's also a great way just to flush out what's happening, right, in mental. So that's why sometimes people say, oh, sleep on it. And you'll feel better when you wake up after a good night's sleep, because your body literally flushed out some of those chemicals that are in your brain when you're experiencing these things that allowed you to be able to feel differently about it when you wake up in the morning. So sleep plays a very, very big role in our mental health and overall performance. So those will be the 3: breathing, journaling / therapy, and then sleep.
Yeah, I need to work on journaling and the sleep part, definitely. Yeah. So I need an underdog quote. It could be your quote. It could be a quote you saw today. It could be a quote you go by, but we need a quote.
Okay. The quote I normally use, I used it before, so I'm going to have to find a new one really quick. I normally say, you don't have to be perfect to make progress. I already said that one, so remember that one because that one's important. I would say invest in your wellness because you're worth the investment.
Yep,
Yeah.
I love it. I love that. And I appreciate you. This is a good conversation about not just physical health, but the mental health, and to see a younger Black guy that knows what he's talking about and not just seeing it sitting here, but seeing it throughout class and being around is really dope. Like, because you're not an older gentleman trying to teach the younger generation. You're in the middle trying to help everybody. And not just the generation after, but the generation before you, because we all need some help in our health, whether it's emotional, physical, or mental. So I appreciate that. I'm learning a lot, and then just going back and editing, just knowing certain topics that I need to work on. I can listen to this episode and work on those things. So appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Thanks again for having me. I enjoyed it.
No problem. Give us. I always say closing. I don't say closing word. That's not church. But give us a final out for the listeners.
Yeah. So I've said the two things that I normally say at the end. One thing that I will say though is that, you know, you can become the change that you want to see in your family and in your community. All you got to do is get started and keep going, right? It's really all about perseverance. So, you know, identify a problem that you want to solve, a way that you want to make an impact, and get started at solving it, and just keep going. Keep investing into it. And it's only a matter of time before you become that change that you want to see.
And on that note, keep being great.